Hi everybody, my name is Jacob Poole. I'm the computer science teacher next to Dr. Neat here at CV, and this is a quick tutorial of how to get AWS Academy set up for you to use the tool Cloud9 as a browser IDE to start developing for the course. So first off, you can't do anything without an email from the classroom itself. So I have to first send out emails to students with the invitation to join the classroom. With that, then you can start joining. This window here is the first window you'll see in your email. Once the invitation is sent out, then you can go ahead and start your Canvas. Here we'll just do this regular student login, and then you type this stuff in. So once you've logged in, this is the page that you're going to come to. You can check out your account. This is just my test account as a student. You can go to your dashboard and you can see all the classes that you're a part of. I would suggest, this is the computer science class, I would suggest renaming this to like comp-sci or buffet or whatever class you're actually in. And then you can kind of go from there. This initial page here is a write-up of the exact same steps that I'm going to take you through in this video, but it's just in a written form. You're welcome to check that over as well. You might have seen that my browser changed. I figured out that you can't be using the next tool without being in a regular browser instead of an incognito browser, so make sure that you're just in a regular browser. You need cookies to be on and enabled. So what I just did here was I clicked on the modules page, and we're going to be using this Learner Lab module, but we will not actually be completing it as an activity. This is kind of just a foundation activity about learning what this AWS tool is, which is just the Learner Labs of I can assign homework and assign assignments, labs, different things like that. We won't be actually using that tool. We'll be using something that is that AWS allows you to use beyond this tool. So once we actually open up the lab, you can actually see the lab itself on the right side here. And that is basically all the different tools that AWS has and what you can learn from this entire thing. We're going to start the lab. The first step is just completely start the lab. This will take a minute. And then we have two things that we have to keep track of here. One is we're going to have a time limit of how long we can have this lab open for. And that time limit resets every single time you start the lab and after you've ended it. So make sure that you just keep track of your time limit so you don't go with any unsaved work once you've started developing. The other thing is you have $100 of credit that AWS gives you in computing, in storage, in whatever. I highly suggest that we keep that credit just for the class. I don't think we'll run over that credit. The first lab for me took like 20 cents. And if you think about all the 60, 80 labs that we actually do, I don't think we'll go over that $100. But if you're doing other stuff on this IDE, I would be careful and just make sure that we're not going over that limit. Once we go over that limit, you can lose your account and some data can be lost, basically. I don't think it'll be a problem. So you can see those things up here right now is the $100 and then also the 4 hours. This is 4 hours, and you have 4 hours to do whatever development you want. You can end the lab and you can start it back up again if you want to go on for more than 4 hours, which is a long period of time anyway. So we're going ahead and start this stuff. You can see up in this upper left-hand corner up here that we have this AWS signal that used to be a red dot. It's yellow now because it's loading, and then hopefully it will turn green. Once it turns green, that's when we know that we will be able to start developing, and we'll actually be able to use this tool. There's a lot of tools that AWS has. We're going to specifically be using Cloud9, and that's going to be basically a environment like you have with Notepad++ on the computer, on the Windows desktop. It has a terminal inside of it. It has a folder directory, so you can do all that type of stuff as well. So I'll skip ahead and hopefully this will load. Cool. So as you can see, it stopped loading. You see your creation time is here, and we started our session. And we have 4 hours for the remaining session. you have now your AWS is green, and we're actually going to click on that AWS now. This is going to take us onto a new page, which is our management console that if you have a general AWS account, then you can access this console as well. Anything that we do here, we need to make sure that we keep this tab open, keeping the lab running so that we can actually edit stuff and use stuff in this management console. As soon as we close this tab and stop the lab, this management console stops working. So from this management console, we're going to go ahead and click this All Services, click down here, and we're going to look for Developer Tools. Under Developer Tools, we'll find Cloud9, and we're going to go ahead and open that as well. From here, it'll bring you just the general what Cloud9 is. It's like it's an IDE to run, write, and debug code. That's the basics of it. You can do basically any language on it. If you want to develop a website, if you want to develop in Python, Ruby, anything like that, it should have that language downloaded, and I'm sure you can install and download other languages and other libraries to it as well. So make sure you can read through this if you want. We're going to go ahead and just create an environment. From here, you can name your environment. I would name this whatever class you're in. It could just be like AP Comp Sci 2021 or 2021, 22 or something like that. We'll go ahead and hit next steps. You can put a description if you want. If you have multiple environments, you can have multiple environments. That's perfectly fine. Then there'll just be different folders of data that you can store in there. On this configuration setting, we're actually not going to be changing anything here. All this is perfectly fine. We can just move on to the next step, and we're ready to go. So we're going to create our environment, and this is going to take a minute to create, and we can kind of already see what we're going to be working with here. It takes a second, and there's a little description page of what you have here. But in general, you have three things, which are your folder stack over here, you have your actual IDE of what you're editing, and you have a terminal on the bottom to run stuff. And this will take a minute, so I'll be right back. Alright, cool. So, as I said, you have this description page here about all of what you can do with this. You can go through it, you can change how you want your theme to be, if you want dark gray, if you want just a regular dark classic theme, which is probably fine. If you're light, I'm scared of you. Over here you can see your environment. So this is basically just a folder stack up. You have a README, which is what you've been looking at, and then we can create files, we can add files, you can see add files, add folders. This is basically like a Windows desktop or like a Mac desktop, where you have your folder base and stuff like that. You have your editing stuff here, so you can see this is just a text file, this is markup, and then if you see down here we have an environment where we can actually type stuff. So to start, we can type ls or dir, both the same thing. Ls is for Mac, dir is for Windows, and this is basically just to see your file directory, and we just have a README in there right now. I'm going to go ahead and clone the GitHub repository for Dr. Neat, which is just using the command git clone, and then if you look at the new Dr. Neat or Neat pool curriculum and code base, this is the one on GitHub. You can go to that link on either Dr. Neat's website or my website, and we're going to go ahead and use the HTTPS and copy this link, and that's what we're going to be throwing in here. So if we go ahead and clone that, it does connect to repositories on GitHub, so if you have your own repository to push code to as well, you're welcome to do that. It is also a little safer to keep your code on GitHub, but everything on this website does save if you're hitting Control-S all the time. Whenever you close the lab itself, under Learner Labs, all your stuff on the environment for Cloud9 will stay, and everything will save. So you shouldn't have to worry about data being destroyed or anything like that. GitHub's kind of just like a secondary backup if you want to push your data to GitHub. So you can see we've completed our cloning process. If we hit ls or dir, you can see we have two folders, our folder there. So let's go ahead and cd or change our directory into neat pool. And if we dir in there, you can see we have our first week folder, readme, update bat, and command update. This is exactly what you need to work with. You can open up these files as well if the same thing as in this directory here. You can open up these files, you can look at the syllabus. Let's go ahead and open up one of my syllabus, the AP syllabus or something like that. And you can open up files, you can open up all the PDFs that we have in these directories as well, and you can read through all this stuff as well. So you can use it as visually for reading material for like the class presentations, and then you can also edit files. So if I wanted to open up like tester.java, you go ahead and throw that in like my top side over here, something like that. And I can start coding. So here's my tester file, something like that. So class tester, squiggly. And you can start coding, you can do whatever you want. It has Java 11 installed. You can also do this stuff side by side. So if you want to look at like a presentation for the class, like how to code, you can see this stuff on the side and compare one-to-one what you're doing to what you're developing. And then you can run stuff. So you can either run stuff, and we'll go over that later, but this is the basics of what this IDE is. Make sure you're saving your files. You can go ahead and close this when you're done, and then you're going to go ahead and stop your lab. And that's about it. Cool.